Alright, well, welcome to part 2 of rebuilding my hydraulic press. In part 1, well, I'm not going to tell you. You go and have a look. There's a there's a link right up there. It's popping up right now. See that? That there. Click on that if you haven't seen it. Click, come, quick. Oh shit, you missed it. Oh no, what are you going to do now? No, just kidding. Hover your mouse over there and it'll pop back up again. So, okay. Now I'm dubbing over the top of this because, well, it's a little bit hard to hear somebody speak when they've got a welding helmet on. I sort of sound like Darth Vader. And it's just, and yeah, it's not real fantastic. So. Okay, so the reason I am rebuilding this is because it exploded on me. Yes, it was the loudest bang I have heard for a very long time. I was in the middle of using it, and I forget what the hell I was doing with it. I was doing something, and it was creaking and groaning and carrying on. And all of a sudden, it just went boom, and it sounded like a bloody explosion. All the welds broke, and yeah, it was it was pretty good. I was lucky I wasn't extremely close, otherwise probably bits would have went flying everywhere. So what I'm doing here is I'm welding in this bloody big I-beam, and that should do the job. That should keep it nicely centered. Now you'll notice I'm actually using a arc welder. Or an MMA, whatever you'd like to call it, or a stick welder, all the same thing. I'm using this because of the penetration. When you want to use something, when you want to weld something extremely strong, then you want to be using a stick welder or an MMA. I could just call it an arc welder. They are by far the strongest thing. Probably, a TIG. You could probably weld that up quite well with a TIG. A little bit time consuming though. Not really worth doing it like that. So, yeah, that's the go with that one anyway. These welding rods I'm using, they're actually double fluxed, I believe they're called. Yeah, they're a bit of a strange sort of a rod. They're not too sort of bad. The only thing is, you got to try and sort of chip the flux off the top of it to start with, and then once it's going, it's not bad. But if it happens to stop, then the flux sort of like flows over the top of the tip again, and it's really hard to get it going again. You got to sort of bash it and get the flux off the tip once again. It's a real bit of a pain in the ass. You'll actually see up here, it gets pretty difficult at times to get the damn thing to start firing back up again. You'll see me smacking it into the there we go. Look at that, smack, smacking it into the metal, trying to get it to fire back up again. When you do an arc welding, temperature is very important, because if it's too hot, then your weld's going to run. It's going to turn into like liquid, and it's going to sort of like dribble down your weld. It's not too sort of bad, I suppose, when you're doing horizontal welds, but when you're trying to do vertical welds up and down, if you've got it too hot, all your metal is just sort of going to actually run right out of the weld. So it's quite important to try and get that temperature right, and it's a bit of a pain in the ass to do so. And well, I don't have a foot pedal at the moment, so because the bloody machine has decided to be a pain in the ass. Not a great deal I can sort of do about that, but I'm going to put as much weld into this bloody thing as possible, because, well, it is a 20-ton press, and it's got to take a hell of a lot of force, a ginormous amount. So, and the last thing I want to be doing is bloody redoing this thing again, because it's a pain in the ass. Now, mind you, it wasn't actually my welds that broke in the first place. That was the bits that actually came. That was what the factory welded up, little bar thing, and you know they gave you pins and stuff to adjust. Main thing I've been using the press for lately is for making knives and stuff. I don't have a power hammer, and well, your old arm gets pretty bloody sore bashing out that metal after a while, especially when you're using pretty big thick stock. I scored a couple of pieces of rebar and stuff like that are about good question, they're probably about inch and a half, maybe, yeah, probably about an inch and a half round. And yeah, it's rebar, actual rebar for concrete. I don't know where the hell it came from, but I found it scabbing around and I went, ooh, look at that. So bashing that with a bloody, with a friggin' little lump mallet or something like that is a giant pain. So I've been using the press to try and squish it up a bit. But it's, you know, it works okay, but I'd much rather a power hammer. A power hammer would be so much better, but I don't even think I'd have the bloody room for one. I was thinking of making one, but oh, I don't know. Like even the parts to make it, depending on which way I might go to make it, I don't have much room left in my little bloody workshop. I don't even have a concrete floor. As you might have noticed, it's dirt with some bit of gravel poured on top to try and stop and keep the dust down a bit. Not that that works very well. I was thinking of making one of those bloody power hammers with a Tesla cam. If you don't really know what I'm talking about, then you can sort of have a look around YouTube for cam style hammers, power hammers. And basically it's just a spiral wheel on a motor that goes round and lifts up a hammer that's on an arm and comes down and smashes it. They take up a little bit of room. I think I might have a go at maybe making one. I gotta see what I can do about a motor that's powerful enough, because if I'm going to do something like that, I want something that's got a crap load of weight on it, that's going to really come down and give it a good belt, and it's got to be better than what I can do with by hand to make it worthwhile taking up space and actually getting it done. So alrighty, well, she's all done, and you're probably wondering what the hell is on the bottom of that, and it's wood. Now, I can hear the voices already calling out. I can hear the trolls. You can't put wood in a 20-ton press, mate. Well, you can if it's called Australian hardwood, because 20 tons on Australian hardwood, this thing's just going to look at it and laugh and say, is that all you got? Give me some more. Just to test this out, putting in a bit of square tube with a 3mm wall, gal, and Squish City. There you go. I can see the whole press tilting backwards a tiny little bit, flexing. So we'll just have to keep a bit of an eye on that, I guess, and see what happens. There's not a great deal I can do about it at this stage. I'll just keep using it until it explodes. But yeah, the metal's going to break before the wood will, put it that way. You got to love it. I work with Australian hardwood all the time, and it's bloody torturous. It is. You can't nail it. Seasoned hardwood, which is old Australian hardwood, you've got to literally drill a hole in it before you can put a nail through it, or a screw. It just will not, under any circumstances, take it. I've got a bloody, I got a nail gun there, a real good one, and hit it with 120 psi with a nail, and it won't go in. It just, well, it will go in about friggin' about half an inch, and then it'll just bend. The rest of it'll just bend. So yeah, good stuff. All right, well, thanks for joining us. We'll catch up next time, Trendsetters. I'm Jim.
Techno.
Cosmopolitan Radio.